Hey there. So, if you've got a child in year six, you've probably heard some pretty official sounding grammar terms flying around. It can honestly feel like you're being asked to crack a secret code. And you know what? That's exactly what we're going to do right now. We're going to crack that code together and demystify all this stuff so you can help your kid out with total confidence.
So, fronted adverbial, relative clause, subjunctive form. Do any of these ring a bell? Maybe sound a little bit intense? Look, if you've ever found yourself just nodding along but secretly thinking, what on earth are they talking about? Then trust me, you are in exactly the right place.
And you are definitely not the only one who feels that way. It's often said that the language of these tests can feel like a total minefield for parents. But don't you worry. Think of this as your map. We're going to walk right through it step by step. All right, let's start by looking at grammar in a totally new way. Forget about memorizing a bunch of dusty old rules. I want you to think about it more like construction, like building something. We're going to look at the tools that writers use to build sentences, and we're starting with the most basic building blocks of all, the words themselves. Okay, so the very first tool in the box is the noun. It's super simple, really. Nouns are just naming words. They're the what or the who in a sentence. And in year six, kids are learning to spot a few different kinds. So let's quickly break them down. First up, you've got your common nouns. These are just the general, everyday names for stuff. You know, words like chair, house, or, elephant. Easy enough, right? And then you've got proper nouns. Now, these name something specific, a particular person, a certain place, or a brand name. So think Sheffield instead of just city. The big giveaway, and this is a great tip for your child, is that they always start with a capital letter. Next up are collective nouns, and these can be kind of tricky, but they're also a lot of fun. They're basically special words we use for groups. So instead of saying a bunch of bees, you can say a swarm of bees, or a herd of deer, a pack of wolves. They just add so much flavor to writing, don't they? So if our nouns are the bricks, then verbs are the mortar that holds everything together. They are the engine of the sentence. They're the doing or being words. And get this, without a verb, you don't actually have a complete sentence. You've just got a list of words. It's that important. Okay, so we've got our basic materials, our nouns and our verbs, our bricks and our mortar. Now let's get to the fun part. Let's start building and see how all these pieces come together to make really powerful, meaningful sentences. Now we come to the word clause. Don't let it throw you off. A clause is really just a simple group of words that has a subject, that's our noun, and a verb. It's basically a single, complete thought. Think of it like one piece of a jigsaw puzzle. Some of these puzzle pieces, which we call main clauses, are so complete they can actually just be a sentence all by themselves, like, the dog took his bone. That's a whole idea right there. And so is, he buried it in the garden. We can then just stick them together with a simple word like and to build a longer sentence. See? But then you get these other puzzle pieces, subordinate clauses that add extra detail, but, they can't stand alone. They feel incomplete. I mean, if I just walked up to you and said, because it was cold, you'd be looking at me like, and? It needs to be attached to a main clause for it to make any sense. A really great example of this is something called a relative clause. Check out this sentence. The cat who had bright eyes sat on the mat. The main simple idea is the cat sat on the mat. That extra bit in the middle, who had bright eyes, that's the relative clause. It's just a really clever way to sneak in more information about our noun, the cat. All right, we've seen how to build a basic sentence. Now let's move on to the really cool stuff, the stylistic choices. This is where grammar stops being about rules and starts getting really creative. This is how a writer can totally control the feeling and the focus of what they're saying. Because this is the moment we realize grammar isn't just about being correct. It's about having conscious control over your words. It's about choosing the absolute best way to say something to get your point across. And a perfect way to see this in action is by looking at active versus passive voice. Okay, so in the active voice, you'd say the dog was chasing the cat. Simple. The focus is all on the dog and what it's doing. But watch this. If we flip it to the passive voice, the cat was chased by the dog. The whole focus of the sentence shifts. Now it's all about the cat and what's happening to it. It's the same event, but a totally different feel. This is exactly why kids learn about things like the fronted adverbial. It's just moving a phrase like under the moonlight to the front of a sentence to make it sound more dramatic. Same info, completely different vibe.
So we've gone over the words, the sentences, even the stylistic flair. But let's just zoom out for a second. Why are 10 and 11-year-olds learning all of this stuff? Is it really just about passing a test?
Now, it's so much bigger than that. The real goal here isn't a score on a piece of paper. It's about empowering your child. It's giving them the tools they need to share their amazing ideas clearly, powerfully, and with confidence. It's about transforming them from someone who just uses language into someone who truly understands it and can use it to make an impact.
You know, the national curriculum itself says it perfectly. It says that knowing this stuff gives students conscious control and choice in their language. And that's it right there. Knowing these concepts gives a young writer options. It gives them the power to build the exact sentence they're picturing in their head to create precisely the effect they're going for. So, as your child gets ready for these tests, maybe we can try to see it a little differently, not as some scary hurdle, but as a cool opportunity. This isn't just about grammar rules, it's about architecture, it's about handing them a toolbox full of amazing tools. The real question isn't about the test, it's how can we help them become confident, creative builders with their words.